Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Is Ifoma. In today's episode, we are going to be drafting and cutting this beautiful straight pant. So sit back, watch and enjoy. Hello everyone. We are going to use this pattern paper to draft a pant, a straight pant, and the measurements we are working with is 42 for the length of this pant. So but this pattern paper is not up to 42, so we are going to just use the length of this pattern paper. While cutting it on our fabric, we are going to complete the measurements and add our allowances. All right, so the first thing we are going to mark, of course, is the length of the pant, which I said before, this paper is not up to the length, so we're just going to leave it like this. And then we're going to pretend that this is our fabric and it's on fold. All right, so when cutting yours, you're going to place your fabric on fold. So let's pretend that this is the fold of the fabric. Then to get your own fold, you are going to measure your round thigh measurement, and you're going to divide it by 2. All right, and your thigh measurement I'm working with here is 31 divided by 2 is 15 and a half. Okay, so this is 15 and a half. This is how you're going to get your own fold. When you get the half of your thigh measurement, you're going to add 1 inch sewing allowance. So in this case, it's going to be 16 and a half. That will be our fold. Okay, and so this, because we are pretending that this is already on fold, we don't need to measure to get our fold. So the next thing we are going to do is to measure our crotch. Right, in this case we're going to use 10 inches as the crotch measurement. Okay, your own might be 9, your own might be 11, depending on the size. All right, so we're going to use 10 inches on this crotch. We're going to mark 10 inches here. We're going to go in and mark 10 inches. This is just for us to get a straight line. Okay, we are using here as the beginning of our pants, as the edge. We're using here as the waist of our pants. All right, so we are going to connect these dots with a straight line. So this is our crotch depth. Okay, this is our crotch depth. So the next thing we are going to do is to take our thigh measurement. I already said that we have to use our thigh measurement divided by 2 plus 1 inches to get our fold. So you're going to mark that exact measurement, and the one I'm working with, after adding the 1 inch allowance, is 16 and a half. So we're going to mark 16 and a half here. Okay, we're going to mark 16 and a half here. All right, so from this our crotch line, we're going to come up by 2.5 inches. We're going to come up by 2.5 inches, and that is going to be our hip measurement. So we're also going to connect it with a straight line. We're going to call this our hip. This is our hip line, and this is our thigh line. Okay, this is our thigh line, and this is our hip line. I hope you are seeing it well. And then the next thing we are going to do is to take the measurement of our hip. Alright, we are going to put the measurement of our hip on this our hip line. Remember we said that we came up by 2.5 inches from the thigh line, and then we call that the hip measurement, the hip line. So on that hip line, we are going to take our hip measurement. So the hip I'm working with here is 45. We are going to divide it by 4. All right, when you are dividing your thigh measurement to get your fold or to mark your line here or whatever, you're going to divide your thigh measurement by 2 inches. And when you want to divide your hip, you're going to divide your hip measurement by 4 inches. Okay, so the hip measurements I'm working with here is 45. 45 divided by 4 is okay, is 11 and a half, right? Let's see. Okay, it's not up to 11 and a half. I think it's 11.2. All right, 11 and quarter. So we are going to mark it here. Then we are also going to add. We're also going to add 1 inch sewing allowance to each. All right. We're also going to add 1 inch sewing allowance. Okay. Then we are going to draw a straight line. You can as well take that this measurement you put here. All right. This is your hip measurement, and you added 1 inch. So we are just going to draw a straight line on that place, that line, the hip measurement. Are going to draw a straight line up to the waist of your pants like this. Okay, you're going to draw a straight line here. Okay, then from that straight line you drew here, from this straight line you're going to take your waist measurement from the inside out. Remember, we have been taking our measurements from the outside in. Then when we want to take our waist measurements, we are going to measure from the inside out. And then the waist you are working with here is 38. We are also going to divide our waist measurement by 4 inches. Then 38 divided by 2 is 19, and 19 divided by 2 is 9 and a half, right? So we divided our waist measurement into 4, and we got 9 and a half. So we are going to put that 9 and a half. Remember, we said we are going to measure from inside out. So we are going to put 9 and a half here, and we're also going to add a 1 inch sewing allowance. All right, making it 10 and a half. All right, so this is our waist measurement. So the next thing I'm going to do is to connect this our waist measurements to the hip. All right, so you can either use your curve or use your free hand. Okay, in this case I'm just using a free hand. It's the same thing whether you use a curve or a free hand. Okay, so then we get back to this curve we have here. See, if you look at this is our thigh line, and this is our hip line. We connected the two of them using the hip measurement. All right, and then we have an angle here. All right, so on that angle we are going to come in the middle of that angle by 1 inches. We're going to go out of that angle by 1 inches. All right, you're going to then using that 1 inch you went out from the angle with, you're going to connect this line here. You're going to connect it to your thigh measurement. All right, so you can either use your curve as well, or you can either use a free hand. Just connect it to the thigh measurement. Okay, so this is what we have after connecting our crotch measurements to the thigh. Okay, so this is what we have. So the next thing we are going to do is, because I'm making a straight pant, we are going to input our waist to our knee measurements. Okay, if I'm making a wide leg pant, you don't need to take this process. All you just need to do is to draw a straight line from this measurement on this mark on the thigh down to your desired length, and also take a straight line from this side down to your desired length, and that is your wide leg pant. So but because we are making a straight pant, okay, we need to input our waist to knee measurement, and the waist to knee measurement I have here is 22 inches. All right, I'm just going to mark 22 inches here, and I'm just going to take a straight line on that 22 inches. I'm just going to draw a straight line across. Okay, and this is our knee line. Okay, then after taking that, the next thing we are going to do is we are going to try to find the middle of this pant we are making here. We are going to try and find the center. So for us to get the center of our pant, so we are going to take this place. This is the beginning, this is the ending of this your thigh measurements, right? This is where your pant begins and this is where it ends. Okay, so you're going to measure from here, from the beginning to the end of your thigh, okay, of this your pant, and we'll have 16 and a half. We're going to divide that 16 and a half into 2. Your own might be 10, your own might 20, whatever it is, just divide it into two. Divide it into two, and then you take the measurement, whatever you got. If you, maybe your own is 10 and you divide it into two, you got 5, you're going to take that 5 all the way down. Right, on from your food, you're going to take that measurement, whatever you got. Okay, I'm going to take it all the way down to the hem. After doing that, just going to draw a straight line all the way down to your hem also. Just connect all the dots with a straight line. Just going to connect all these dots with a straight line. Okay. Right, so when you're done doing that, this is the center of your pants, and then remember this is the knee measurement and that is the hem. All right, so what you're going to do next is to come down to the knee measurement and take your round knee measurement. The round knee I'm working with here is also 22, so we are going to divide 22 by 2 inches. Okay, we are not going to divide it by 4, we are dividing it by 2 inches, and 22 divided by 2 is what? 11. Then that 11, we are going to divide it by 2 inches also. Okay, just for us to get to make sure that it sits in the center. All right, you are dividing your knee measurement into 2. We have round knee measurement to be 22, we are dividing into 2. All right, what we need is the knee measurement divided by 2. All right, and what I have here is 11. So for me to fit that 11, to make sure that it's in the center, that is why I'm dividing that 11 into 2 also. So when I divide that 11 into 2, I'm going to get 5 and half. Okay, so I'm going to input it this way, give 5 and half to this side, going towards the inside of the pants, and give the other 5 and half to the side, going towards the outside. Okay, that is the reason why we divided it into, we divided that 11 into 2, so that we make sure that it sits in the center of our pants. All right, and then we're going to go down to our hem, and we're going to take our round hem measurements. Okay, this is a straight pant, so you are required to take all these measurements in your client's body. All right, so we go down to our hem, and the round hem measurement you are working with here is 18 inches, so we are going to divide that 18 inches into 2 also. Right, so we're going to divide it into 2, and we have 9. So we're also going to, for us to make sure that it fits in the center of this part, we are going to also divide that 9 measurement into 2, which will give us 4 and a half. Right, so we are going to give 4 and a half to the inside, and also the remaining 4 and a half to the outside of this part. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is to connect everything. I'm going to connect from here. This is your thigh. You're going to connect from here, connect it to the knee, to the measurement on the knee. And we're also going to connect from the hip also. Right, you're going to have something like this. Just use your hand and blend the hip side, because you know the hip is not supposed to be sharp, right? So just use your hand and blend the hip measurement. So I want to quickly tell us something here. Alright, when making a straight pant, you can either decide to work with only your round knee measurement. When you get your round knee measurement, you can either decide to just draw a straight line down. Okay, that is also a straight line. I might decide to use that 22 inches that I use for my round knee measurement, just take it down to the hem. Alright, that is also going to be okay. Or you can decide to also measure the round hem and input the measurement. Whichever one you want to do, it's all a straight pant. Okay, just to make sure that the measurement you took from the hem is not the one you're supposed to take when you are making a fitted pant. Okay, just make sure it's still not fitted. Okay, so that is what I want to say. So I'm just going to connect it down to the point on the hem, to the measurement on the hem. I'm also going to do the same thing for the other side. Alright, so this is just it. This is our straight pants. Okay, this is just it. It's not hard. So I'll quickly take a recap of everything. So I'm just going to quickly run a recap of what I said before I got it out. So I said that we are pretending that this our pattern paper is our fabric and it's already on fold. So to get your fold, I said you're going to take your thigh measurement, divide it by 2, then add a 1-inch sewing allowance. That's how you're going to get the fold of your fabric. Alright, then after that you're going to take the length of the pant. After taking the length of the pant, you're going to take the length of your crotch. I'm using 10 inches for this crotch, so yours might be 9, yours might be 8, or even 11, depending on the size of the person you're making the pant for. Alright, say my crotch measurement is 10 inches. So from here, which is the waist of our pants, to here is our 10 inches, and that place is also our thigh line. Okay, then after getting our 10 inches for the crotch, we're going to draw our straight line. We're going to connect it to the straight line, the vertical line here, and that is our thigh measurement. And we also said that from that thigh measurement, we are going to take 2 inches measurement upwards. All right, so we took 2 inches, and that is what we are seeing, 2.5 inches, sorry, and that's what we are seeing here, and that place becomes our hip measurement. Okay, then there we're going to input our hip measurement divided by 4 plus 1 inches for the sewing allowance. All right, and then from there we are going to draw a straight line to meet the thigh line here. Okay, from that measurement of our hip, from that hip measurement, we're going to draw a straight line to meet our thigh line, which is here. All right, and then we say that the last measurements we're going to take on this upper borders, on this upper part, is our waist measurement, which we say we're going to start taking the measurement from the inside of the pants to the outside. So we took our measurement, and then we added a 1-inch sewing allowance. All right, and then we connected it, and that is the curve we are seeing here. This is our hip curve, right? We connected it like so. Okay, then after that, the next thing we went ahead to do is to find the center of this pant, and this is the line you are seeing here. All right, and we said to get the center of the pants, I'm going to take the measurement from the end of your pants to the beginning, or let's say from the beginning of your pants to the end of your pants, and that is from your fold to the end of your thigh measurement. All right, then whatever you got, I'm going to divide it into 2, and that is what we have here. We input our that measurement we got all the way to the hem, and then we took a straight line, and that is the center of our pants. Okay, and then we said the next thing we did was to take our waist to knee measurements, and I said this is the waist to knee measurement that I used here. All right, and then from that waist to knee, we marked our waist to knee measurements here. Okay, and then we also inputted our round knee measurement here. Okay, that is what you're seeing here. We inputted our round knee measurement, and of course plus 1 inch for the sewing allowance, and then we went down to the hem and we also did the same thing. Okay, we inputted our round hem measurement plus 1 inch sewing allowance. Okay, so that is what we have here. We're going to go ahead and cut this out, and then we're going to go ahead and cut out the back. I'm going to cut it off camera, okay, and show us. So after we were done cutting out, this is what we have. Okay, this is a look of a straight pants. Okay, so if yours is looking like this, then congratulations, you are in the right track. Okay, this is a look of a straight pants. All right, so we are going to go ahead now and cut the back. For this back, all right, so we are going to cut the back. So this is the paper we are using for the back piece. All right, and so we are, of course, we are also pretending that this is our fabric and it's already on fold. Then we are just going to place the front on it like this, leaving a space on the top. Okay, because the waist of the back part of this pants is going to be longer than the front part. Okay, the waist must be longer than the front. The waist of the back part must be longer than the front. Okay, so we're just going to I'm just going to place it like this, leaving at least 2 inches allowance on the waist of the back part. Okay, so we're going to place it like this, making sure it's equal on this hip side. It's going to be equal because we are going to add our measurement on the inside and not on the hip side. Okay, so on this side you are going to make sure that there is enough space, because the back and the front, they are not always the same. Okay, the back must be wider both on the leg and longer on the waist side. Okay, so you are going to make sure that your fabric has a room for that wideness. Okay, so when we are done placing it like this, the next thing we are going to do is to take our measurements. This back don't have a lot, it's just extend this your thigh line, just extend it a little to the outside. Remember we said you should make sure that you left enough, that you're leaving enough measurement on the back part for you, that is going to accommodate all the extra inches you are going to add to the back. Okay, so here we are going to add a 1.5 inches. We are going to make the back longer than the front with 1.5 inches, and mind you, it's only on the crotch parts of the pants. Okay, because on the waist side is going to be equal. On the waist side, this side must be equal. Your pants, your measurement is going to start from the same line. I'm going to start cutting from the same line of the waist of the front. So this 1.5 inches we added is only on the crotch parts of the waist. All right, so we're going to also go ahead to add 2 inches. We are going to add 2 inches here. We are going to take that 2 inches down to the hem. Okay, I'm going to take that 2 inches down to the hem of this pant. Okay, we are going to come here and I'm going to take 1.5 inches. We are going to put 1.5 inches. We put 2 inches here and we are putting 1.5 inches here. Okay, so we are going to take that 1.5 inches down here. All right, and we are going to connect it with a straight line. Okay, so sorry, this shift. Okay, we're just going to connect it with a straight line, and just like before, this is the line, this is the line we took. So we're just going to extend that line, just like exactly what we did in the front. Also get an angle here, and we are going to do exactly what we did in the front. We're going to come out from that angle with 1 inch, and we're going to connect it like so. I'm going to connect it like so. Okay, so this is exactly what we did for the front. This is how the back is going to look. Okay, so we're just going to use our ruler to connect this line from the waist. We already said that it's not going to be longer on the hip side. Okay, on the outside of the pants is only going to be longer on the crotch side. Okay, so I'm just going to take a straight line, making sure that we have drawn the line to join the waist on the outside, because it's not going to be wider, it's not going to be longer on that part. Okay, and we are going to connect this. Okay, so this is how it looks. There's no big deal, just connect all these dots here. Just connect all these dots here. Okay, remember we added 2 inches. Okay, so just connect them and then you are good. Alright, that is just all for the back piece. Okay, so we're just going to cut it out. We're just going to go ahead and cut it out now. Okay, make sure that this place is equal. Okay, you're going to make sure that this place they are equal, because all the allowance you're supposed to add, you have added them to the inside part of the pants. So after you've made sure that everything is equal, you're going to just cut it out. I'm going to cut it out on camera for us to see. Okay, then while cutting this part, we're going to cut on the new line that you've taken. Remember, we added 2 inches. All right, we added 2 inches to the front down here, and we added the 1.5 inches here. So you're just going to cut exactly on the new line that you have drawn. Okay. Okay, so that is just that for the front and the back piece. Alright, so this is just it. It's so simple. So guys, remember that our pattern paper is not long enough. It's not This is not the length of our pant. So we are going to place it on our fabric and cut it out. Alright, so we already placed our pattern on our fabric. Okay, just like I always say, our fabric is already fold, and what I just did was to place this on top and pin it down, okay, to avoid movement when I'm cutting it. Okay, so the only thing we are going to add to this pattern paper, this is exactly our pants. The only thing we are going to add to it is the length of the pants, because like I said, when we are making this pattern, the length of the paper is not long enough. It's not the length of the pants. So the length of the pants we are working with is 42 inches. So we're just going to make it that 42 inches plus 2 inches for the hemming allowance. We're going to use 2 inches to hem the down part. So we are going to make it 44 inches. Okay, so that is the only measurement, that is the only alteration we are going to render to this our pattern that we have cut. So what we are just going to do is to trace it. Remember, we already added our 1 inch allowance to the desired area, so this is exactly our part. Okay, so what I'm just going to do is to trace this paper. I'm just going to trace it. So I'm going to trace. We are just through with cutting the main fabric for the front of our pants. All right, so this is what we have. So we are just going to go ahead and cut out the back, that same way. Okay, so just like we did for the front, all I did here was just to put my pattern paper, I just placed it on my fabric and I also pinned it down. Okay, this is the upper part of our pant because this place is wider after I cut the front piece. All right, so what I'm just going to do is to place the front piece on top like this. I'm placing this front piece just for us to get the length of the pants. Okay, I don't really need it, I just want to use it to get the length of the pants. Okay, and I already got it, so I'm just going to mark this is the length of the pants. All right, so I'm also going to use this pattern, this back pattern, to also trace out our pants exactly the way it is. Okay, so I'm also going to use it and trace out our pants. So I'm going to do that off camera, and when we are back, I'm going to show us the next step. So after we are done cutting it, this is what we have for the front and the back. Okay, so this is what we have. As you can see, our pants, we are done with the cutting of our pants. Okay, so I'm just going to trim out some excess allowances down here. So after we are done cutting it, this is what we have. Okay, so the next step, I'm going to remove all this. Then the next thing I'm going to do is to mark out the pocket, all right, because I'm going to be fixing a pocket on the front of this pant. So I'm just going to mark out that pocket. Okay, so I'm going to use 7 inches for the length of our pocket. I'm going to use 7 inches. So mind you, let me remove the back because the pocket is just going to be at the front. So we're going to use 7 inches, and then we are going to use 2.5 inches on the width of the pocket. So we're going to use 7 inches for the length of the pocket and 2.5 inches. Okay, so what I'm going to do next is to give it a little notch. All right, just give it a little notch here. Okay, so the next thing we are going to do is to go ahead and gum this pocket side. So this is the front, this is the right side of the fabric, and this is the wrong side. Okay, so we are gumming on the wrong side of the fabric. So I'm going to use a medium gum stay to do that. So guys, that is all for drafting and cutting this beautiful straight pant. So follow me in the next video where we join all the pieces together and make this beautiful pant.